Hello friends, this is my presentation on project-based learning. Chapter 3 in sum was about the idea of projects and how they help students learn more than what's offered in just a generic curriculum. So there's more context than what is given by Common Core and other standards. So it poses questions like, why are these concepts important for the students to understand? What is the relevance for real life outside of school? And it allows collaboration between teachers and teachers and students. So it's about not being afraid to learn new things outside of the normal comfort zone, especially when it comes to technology. And this is also what collaboration is for. Collaboration is a good tool to use in order to learn new things, stuff that we're not comfortable with. Brainstorming is also very effective when it comes to project planning. So collaborating with other teachers and combining subjects to form a big project would be very effective. So, if you were doing something that had to do, that you could tie in with multiple subjects, it'd be good to work with other teachers in order to do so and brainstorm for that. More on Chapter 3. Well-designed project objectives include analyzing, evaluating, and creating. So the above objectives will help plan for a project that helps the students to think more critically. And, it allows them the opportunity to ask their own questions and figure things out in a different way than just traditional learning. Digital age literacy basically means having the wide range of skills that are essential to function in a growing digital time. So, being literate in most things. And then there's digital literacy, which is having the skills of the growing technology. Important learning functions include research, discussing ideas and expressing them creatively, collaboration, project management, reflection and repetition, and studying using educational resources. So the above functions help students and their projects have more structure and organization. Chapter 4 discussed strategies for discovery, so it talked a lot about project planning and how you should go about it. So when using other project ideas, just beware of the quality level. They talked about kind of like the buyer beware mindset. So just make sure that it is of good quality and not, only less useful side. If you create your own project, it's a good idea to go over other people's plans, which allows for an opportunity to collaborate, critique, and edit. So there are potential pitfalls that this chapter goes over, which I thought was really useful to know. So if the project is too tedious and there's not enough learning, that's a pitfall. Technology layered over traditional practice, meaning, just doing a regular research-based project and making a slideshow out of it isn't really the projects that these chapters are talking about. That's just kind of, it's not as of enormous quality as a different project would be. And then thematic teaching is another pitfall. It's not a pitfall, but it's a pitfall as a project, just because incorporating subject matter into all subjects isn't really project-based learning. It's not a project, it's thematic teaching. Overscripted plan with too many steps. Sorry, I forgot the M in there. So basically just something that is overly written, too many steps to follow. It kind of just becomes lost in translation. Not enough focus on assessment. Assessment is important when it comes to projects. Assessment the whole time. So if there's not enough focus on assessment, that could be a pitfall as well. And if assessment doesn't feel genuine, that's not good either, because the students probably aren't learning as much as you would like them to, and it's hard to tell if they're learning if the assessment isn't there. Perks of a flexible framework. So it's important to pay attention to what the students are interested in, what they're curious about, because then they can help that can help you in choosing a project or developing a project. And then steering clear of traditional thinking when project planning is favorable. Students should want to ask questions, learn more, critically think, and, come up with their own designs and be true investigators in what they're learning. So the best projects share certain features. Some include, but are not limited to, being centered on a specific question, holding students' interest via real-life instances, are realistic, full of data, learn by doing, etc. The chapter also offers a useful list of resources that can help with project design. Chapter 5 is all about assessment. So it's important to assess students in the entire duration of the project, not just at the end, which I thought made a lot of sense. And I remember when I was in school, if we ever did a big project, we would always break it up into segments. So we would do pieces of the project at a time, all go over it together with the teacher, making sure we were all doing it correctly, making corrections and all of that. So that was cool to read about. So the purpose for assessment is to measure student learning outcome and assess qualitative value of the project. Summative assessment asks questions like, what will the students learn? What approaches should they take in learning the content? What do they need to demonstrate to show what they have learned? And it also discusses a rubric, which is a scoring tool that communicates expectations around concept attainment and growth in skills and processes. So basically you assess by using a rubric. And then school-wide rubrics guide work around core expectations of the school. So it's something that the whole school would use instead of just a different kind of rubric. A project-based rubric is one that you build from scratch. It should be based around knowledge, skills, and processes or dispositions. Formative assessment is assessing students along the entire way of their project for purposes of making accommodations to help them gain worthy outcomes. So it's very important to set milestones, which is sort of what I was talking about when I was in school a long time ago. Check-ins during the project are important. So again, putting the work into chunks to help pace the project helps the teacher have the time to adequately assess and make corrections and make sure that the students are on the right path to learn what they are supposed to be learning. So, planning check-ins is good. Brief meetings to discuss the process of the project, to see how it's going. And it's also good to look for progress markers. So, this was interesting because it was saying to be creative in assessing and not be careful, be careful not to over-assess because everything could get kind of just lost and repetitive. And so I thought that was interesting. So there are assessment options and tech tools utilized with them. So brainstorming, what do students know? Come up with ideas. You can use a whiteboard. You can use Google Docs. You can create a wiki. You can make checklists. So milestones and due dates. You can use Google Forms, wiki, blog, whatever. Coffee talk, which I thought was kind of cute. So just informal small group meetings, see where everyone's at, what's going on with the project. Concept maps display as ideas and how they relate to each other. So for brainstorming, for planning, for making lists. Exit slips, which I thought was a really good idea. So it's a way for students to reflect and report their learning before they go to their next class or before they go home. So you can use Padlet or Twitter, any other form of, a technology source to where the student can write about what they've learned so far. And it's a fun way to kind of just let you know quickly before they have to move on to their next place of the day. Interest inventory. So just check in. Do the students like what they're learning about? Make sure that they're interested, and you can use Google Forms or poll everywhere. So that would be fun. You can take a poll and have the kids vote. And then there's a portfolio, which could obviously include all the different aspects. So plans, outlines, reflections, rough drafts, communication. And then there are project logs. So this can display the students' efforts and communication, and that you can use a wiki page for. And then review protocols, and those are used to review students' work. So that was it from those 3 chapters. I thought it was very helpful, and I will definitely be referring back to this book. I think it's awesome. Thank you.